Before we talk to our friends at Jordan Winery, I'd like to first introduce you to John Schenk, who will be conducting the interviews for today. John's company is Actual Films, and it's a small business itself. He's a documentary filmmaker, and he's interviewed everyone from small business owners to heads of state. So we're very pleased to have our special guests, Ronald Dupree and Lisa Matson, here today. They're from Jordan Winery, located in Napa Valley. Ronald is assistant winemaker, and Lisa is the communications director. Take it away, John.
Why don't you guys start off by just introducing yourselves, telling us what your jobs are at Jordan, and giving a little history for us.
Well, I'm the communications director at Jordan. I've been there almost 3 years, and since we're a family-owned winery, that's a little bit of an all-encompassing job. It's everything from traditional marketing, back label copy, all the writing for the company, for the website, for traditional materials, creating presentations for the sales force, social media, shooting video, doing photography, so a little bit of everything.
And Ronald?
And I'm assistant winemaker, or aka professional grape stomper. I've got pretty big feet, so it helps a lot to stomp those grapes out. I've been with the company for 12 years, originally from South Africa, and I studied enology there and came over to the States and started working for Jordan, making wine for them for 12 years now. So.
Great, well welcome. Lisa, start off, tell us a little bit about the history of Jordan and tell us how Jordan Winery came to be.
Jordan was started 40 years ago. This year is our 40th anniversary. And a couple named Tom and Sally Jordan, who are from Colorado, fell in love with food while they were traveling in France and just had this idea of like, oh, it would just be amazing to have this vineyard because food and wine marry so well together. And then they had a bottle of wine at a restaurant in San Francisco when they were out visiting one day, and it was a California wine, the first California wine they ever drank in the late 60s, and thought, oh my God, we could do this in California. And so they created this winery as sort of this tribute to French winemaking and hospitality, food, and architecture. So when you go to Jordan in Alexander Valley, it's like you're traveling to France and having this kind of old world experience when you go there.
Interesting, and I mean that sounds like it's a very family oriented company. What does the brand come to mean over the years?
Well, we've definitely come to be known as an icon. It's sort of this California classic in terms of our Cabernet Sauvignon that we make and our Chardonnay. We just became renowned for our consistency from vintage to vintage, that you always know when you open a bottle of Jordan, it's always going to be high quality. And also known for this elegance in our wine.
One thing that's a little bit unusual about some of these stories, including Jordan, is that the marriage between obviously the latest in technology and one of the oldest, kind of companies in the world, the oldest business in the world is winemaking. But perhaps you could talk about specifically the iPad technology has changed winemaking and the branding and the marketing of wine, and maybe give us a little aerial view of how technology is viewed by Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges that we have is that you have this brand that is very traditional and has been around for 40 years, and we need to use modern technology to not only tell our story, but also to make our wines. And I mean, Jordan's really been at a crossroads. I would say about 6 years ago when John Jordan took over the winery, we're in a situation where, because of increased competition in the marketplace and our age as a winery, we were starting to become maybe this stagnant, kind of old school brand without the cool. And iPad has really allowed us to change perception, to show people that there's excitement going on at Jordan, and that you can make old world wines and be committed to French style winemaking, but technology can be a part of that, and that you can use those tools to really more easily teach people how you're changing your wine, what you're doing with the winery.
And for you, Ronald, has the iPad changed the way you do business?
Oh, absolutely. The key thing is we all visual creatures. Look at wine as red wine, white wine. And the first thing you look at the color of the wine, and that's where the iPad has become really kind of revolutionary in that sense, because in the olden days, besides just making wine, I have to go out and do a lot of sales presentations, and yes, we have our salespeople, but they do want to see somebody from production as well. And now I have, with this tool, I'm able to walk into a presentation and have a bottle of wine, obviously, very important, and then a corkscrew and the iPad, and I can instantly transport somebody back to the winery and I'm saying in the middle of Chicago, on the Midwest, in Kansas, especially where Lisa's from, and immediately you can transport this person to the winery, show them the vineyard, show them the visual aspects, and in a very short period of time, which is absolutely, it's wonderful to be able to do that, and because it tells a story.
You bring up the word story, which I think is an interesting way to see it. Is there something specific about the iPad that has that allows you to communicate that? Is it? I'm just curious if there's specific apps. Is it the visuals? Is it the user friendliness of the way you're able to put it in front of somebody? I'm just curious. What is it about the iPad that allows you to tell that Jordan story?
It's all of the above. I mean, from my perspective, as the person who's helping develop the presentations for the sales directors, it's the visuals. That was our biggest challenge with the technology that we have for doing presentations years ago, like PowerPoint on a laptop, is that, it's a little clunky and one-dimensional. It's more suited for a spreadsheet and a pie chart. And what we're trying to do is show people how our winemaking has changed, show them what we're doing to elevate quality. And because we have this image for kind of this classic elegance, we really want to maintain that in how we present ourselves. And the iPad was really the first tool that came along that allowed us to maintain our image, and it was just completely in line with who we are in terms of how we can put video into Keynote, our beautiful photography and how that displays. So it's been just perfectly in line with our
It's
brand.
interesting though, because like you said, that we had laptops, we've had obviously hard copy of photographs forever. What was it about the iPad that specifically, was it the weight, the resolution? I'm just curious, what do you think sort of brought all that together? Because obviously there was kind of a threshold that was crossed.
Yeah, well, the key thing is, it's either you gotta have like a big 3-ring binder with all these photographs, and especially with it, for me sometimes the challenge is especially when you're out in the marketplace and we're dealing with a high-end sommelier or a master of wine. These are very educated people, and now they ask you a very pointed question, and I can just grab the iPad and be like, okay, well, for example, grape sourcing. That's a key. It's like, well, this is the areas that we select from, and Lisa and her team has created amazing, beautiful videos like this 3D map for us. And I can be like, well, let me explain to you, and it gives like this visual aspect of the slopes of the area we source from. I can explain the influence of a lot of different things in a very short period of time, and instantly the person gets it. So like, oh, now I understand why you guys are doing that. So
stepping into the customer's point of view, how do you think that? I mean, obviously Jordan, like you said, it's an icon. It's kind of the California dream winery in so many ways. From a customer's perspective, how do you think that view of Jordan has shifted since the use of the iPad at Jordan?
There's an excitement now. Like people are excited about what's happening at Jordan because we've used iPad to put faces to the wine. I mean, bring the people behind the wines to life. I mean, like, we use the word storytelling a lot because the iPad for us, it's a presentation tool,
right,
but it's helping us tell our story. And when consumers get to see Ronald through video and hear him talk about our oak philosophy and how we've been changing what we've been doing with our barrels and how we age the wine and where we source the grapes from, I think that when they get to see that, it got them more excited. And that I think that there's always been that trust with the customer with Jordan because of our consistency, but now that trust is overlaid with the fact of them going, there's exciting things happening at Jordan. The new generation is there with John, Tom and Sally's son taking over, and that they see that a lot of great things are happening.
If we were to go to Jordan or follow salespeople around, what would we see? Give me a sense of the day-to-day use of the iPad at Jordan.
Some of our sales directors, they'll go into a restaurant to meet with the buyer. They take out their iPad, their course through their bottle of wine. They're tasting through like a current vintage, because that's usually what you're selling. And then the buyer will say, how's that 1990 Jordan cab tasting right now? I have a couple bottles. And Kevin says, well, would you like me to tell you, or would you like to hear it from Rob Davis, our head winemaker? And he's like, oh, I want to hear it from Rob. And he'll just, boom, like that, pulls up a when to drink video from inside either Keynote or our video app. And we've got a 1-minute video of Rob telling him how that wine's tasting right now.